everybody, and welcome to episode 11 of Trapped in My Mind. Today with me, a lifelong friend, Tabi.
Hi.
Thank you for coming out.
Yeah.
It's interesting the type of friendship we have because we've been going to the same up north spot for our entire lives,
Literally.
but I know you basically 1 week out of the year at a time.
Yeah.
And then sometimes
And
here
then
and there in
graduations
between.
and shit like
Yeah.
that.
So, lifelong friends, but not like we see each other every day type lifelong friends.
Mhm.
So, but I still think we have a close
Oh,
connection.
for sure.
So I appreciate you coming out.
Yeah.
Little surprised that you wanted
I
to.
know. Me too.
Yeah, you
And
get out of your comfort zone.
Yeah, for sure. I need to do more things that I'm not used to. But I feel like, we hang out sometimes not even a full week, but like a week out of 1 year and some random days. But I feel like we just party and hang out and like sit on the beach and chill and hang out with everybody else. But I feel like we just don't have like conversations about other random real shit, you know?
Yeah, well, I was gonna ask you, do you think we've ever had a conversation? Do you ever think we hung out with just me and you?
No, probably not.
Because we're always in a eight cabin community,
or with,
basically.
Like, me, you, and Jimmy,
Yeah.
like my brother.
So it's a different feeling, but it's cool. So why did you want to come out?
Well, like I said, that I need to do things that I'm not comfortable with. Like, I need to get out of my comfort zone more because I just stay in my little bubble all the time. And I don't really do things like this. I've never done anything like this. But then I was listening to your podcast with Megan. Right, Megan. And
Episode 4.
Yeah. So I feel like I related to you with a lot of that. And especially with like the depression stuff you're talking about, but then also like you mentioned anxiety for like a half a minute, you know? And then so I was just like, oh, he doesn't understand it. So
I don't. I'm getting better about understanding it, but it's hard to understand something that you don't go through.
Yeah, I agree.
So and people don't always like to talk about it because maybe they're
it's a hard subject.
shameful or
for sure.
which is unfortunate. But why do you think that you're always in a bubble? Curious.
I really like to be comfortable. You know, like I don't.
Are you shy? I wanted to. Like I don't know you as shy.
I mean, to an extent, like if I was to meet new people, you know, I'll be pretty shy with coming out. But I feel like I try to be super outgoing sometimes. Sometimes, you know, sometimes I'm just in like the corner. Like if I go to a bar, like I'm usually in the corner, not really talking to people. But if I'm with like a comfortable group of people, like I'm pretty all over the place, like, you know, but I have to be comfortable. I have to be with somebody that I like know and that I'm good with or I have a good feeling with or whatever to be like my actual like more outgoing self.
Yeah.
You know.
So do you not like to meet new people or?
I like to meet new people, but I don't think when I meet new people, I'm usually with other people. You know what I mean? Like, I don't usually go out and just meet one-on-one, you know what I mean, with somebody and just be like...
So no blind dates?
No, I don't do dates. I never really had to go through that type of thing, you know, like dates like that.
Do you, like, if you were to go out and meet new people for, say, like, for example, at a bar, is it anxiety that, like, gets you kind of nervous about it? Because every time I've known you, you know, it's outgoing Tabi.
Yeah, well, that's because I'm with my family and my family friends that I've known for literally... I mean, you guys have literally known you since I was a child and a youngling. And my family, we go with my family, so those are who I'm comfortable with. But, like, if I'm at if I ever go to the bar, I never go, or even, like, out, I never go alone. Like, I won't ever go out alone and just me. And usually if I'm meeting new people, it's the other people that are, like starting the conversation, or like my friend who I'm with will start it, and I'll chime in and I'll get in the group and stuff like that in the conversation, but I usually don't start it, you know, just because I don't know, I just don't really feel like I should just go up to random people and be like, hey, what's going on?
I think within reason you probably are right. Like just go. I mean, sometimes it's annoying to go up to random people.
What you do at the bar, though, but
I mean, it is. That's why the bar is a weird place. But it's just you saying you're in you like to stay in your bubble. I take that as one of two ways. Either you don't like to go out so much and meet other people, or like you don't always have these conversations that are uncomfortable. Is it both? Or
probably.
Yeah.
I mean, my bubble isn't like just like super tight. Like,
Okay.
I don't just, like, never go anywhere.
Okay.
Like, I want to go out and go hang out at the bar, and I really do like to go out and dance and go have fun.
Yeah.
Like, I can't be the first one that starts all that stuff. But and I also don't like going alone anywhere. Like, I won't even go out to eat alone.
Oh, I love it.
I can't. I don't know. I don't want any attention on me.
Yeah.
I don't want to feel uncomfortable and like people are watching me. I don't want to feel judged, things like that.
So you have a bubble, but it's not just for you.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, it's like just the people that like I know. Like I'll just stay.
It's comfortable.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly how I would describe it. I like to do what I'm comfortable with.
So with that being said, you probably have been in several scenarios where you're uncomfortable, right?
Yeah.
Does it usually turn out as bad as you have it in your head, or does it usually turn out better?
Usually it turns out better. Yeah, and that's the thing I would say with anxiety, like, your mind almost, like, tricks you to think, like, the worst scenario.
Mm-hmm.
And then, but, like, when you do something and it's better than you thought it was going to go, it's not just like, oh, why did I think that? It's just like, okay, cool, so that went way better than I thought, so next time that we do this, I'll do it this way or do that, you know?
Mm-hmm.
But, like, I know you were talking about going to new places. You mentioned that for, like, a second. You said you don't understand, like, when somebody goes to new places, just, like, go in and figure it out.
Let's go earlier.
Yeah.
Right?
Just go figure it out. Yeah, that's just, like, a no-go for me. Like, I don't like not knowing. The unknown, like, freaks me out, and it's just a lot of, like, what-ifs type of thing, like that random scenarios that are completely unrealistic sometimes. What if this happens? Well, what if I mess up? Well, what if I look like an idiot? What if everyone's looking at me because I totally messed up and I'm the one that's, like, walking around like a dumbass, like, don't know what I'm doing? And, like, especially in a new place, like, parking is a nervous thing for me, too, because I'm, like, I don't want to, and just going and driving somewhere that I don't know. Like, this wasn't too bad, like, coming here even, but I had to ask you where you go, because I don't like to just go up and just drive around aimlessly or be around aimlessly not knowing what's going on, because I don't.
You think someone might be in their window like, oh, look at that. Look at that loser not knowing where to go.
Exactly.
If you see somebody doing that, do you make fun of them?
Probably, yes.
Okay, so you're the cause of your own anxiety, it sounds like.
Yeah, I just know that I'm going to be looked at or something. Like, something can go wrong in my head. Like, I just, like, put random scenarios that, like, something's going to go wrong. Like, well, what if this happens? What if I go in and I don't know what I'm looking for? Or this person looks at me and I'm like, what are you doing? You know, like, I don't like confrontation with all that and stuff. And I like to know when I go somewhere, I always, like I said, I like to Google Maps it and, like, see it. Even when I drive up and if the parking's good, that's amazing. But if the parking is hard to, like, find a spot or, like, it's confusing, I don't like that stuff. Like, I'll park way away just to be somewhere else, you know. But I also like to look into, like, if it's, like, a store, I like to, like, feel it out and, like, look and see what's going on in there, like, how it's set up and, like, you know, like, where I can just go and do it. I don't like to just walk in and just be like,
aimlessly.
Yeah.
You said something that is interesting, because you said you don't like confrontation, and I feel like the people who I know that have anxiety don't like confrontation. I'm wondering if it's those two things are kind of hand in hand.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. I mean, I act like I like confrontation because I act like I'm like such a hard ass, like
boss ass bitch.
Yeah, I do. I act like I'm like, well, you know, whatever. Like, I'm acting like I'm like that, but really I'm not. like I mean, if I have to, like, I definitely will. But I'm just like, yeah, fuck that shit. But then I'm just like, yeah.
So, has there been something that, like, do you think that there was anything that caused you to have all this anxiety? Like, have you gone somewhere and then been, like, surprised and, like, very uncomfortable, or is it just in your head, do you think?
I've definitely been somewhere that I'm just like, I will never go there again, because that was just a very terrible experience.
And it was strong enough to give you, like, reoccurring anxiety of going to new places?
I mean, I don't know if you're saying, like, there was, like, one specific thing that caused
Well,
I have anxiety.
like you're saying, like going to a new place, you might get there and people might look at you weird, or you might get there and like you're the wrong place. Like let's say because I know I had this mildly like my freshman year of high school. Am I in the right class? Because I don't want to be that kid that walks in the wrong class. So I get that in that regard. But like, has there been something that like has caused you to question every new place you go to, or is that like? Where does that come from, do you think?
I mean, I don't think there was like a specific time that I could recall that made me be like that. I just think that it's just always been there.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I've just always done, like, my mind has just always gone to like the bad, like just something bad's going to happen just because you almost want to make yourself prepared for that, for anything that would happen, but I don't think I could tell you why.
Isn't that stressful though?
Oh yeah, very.
Man,
it's not fun. It's not, and it's sometimes, like I said, it's really, really, really stupid. Like really dumb things will make me anxious and just be like, well, I don't like to do a lot of people like things that people will just be like, well, why not? Like, just do it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Just because I don't want to.
Well, that's the part where like that's one of the things I don't understand about anxiety is like, okay, for example, I mean, there's a lot of different situations. If you're going to a new place, you'll probably know why you're going to that place, right?
Yeah.
So you know what to expect.
Mm-hmm. Somewhat.
I mean, for example, if you're starting a new job at a certain place, you know you're going to this place to work there.
Yeah.
So what's the unknown that's like, ooh, like I don't get that.
Yeah, for me personally, especially with like a new job, it's like, well, I don't know anyone,
Mm-hmm.
so I'm just kind of like on my lonesome self, figuring it out, but like I get embarrassed really easily, you know what I mean? Like, and if I mess up, like that's like a big problem. Like I don't want to mess up, and even though it's like what you're supposed to do, like you're supposed to kind of fail or whatever to get somewhere, but like I don't want to. I don't like failing. I don't like messing up. I don't like being things not doing what I should be doing or whatever. I don't like, because if it's something like big at work and you mess all that up, that's a big problem. Like I don't want to cause a big problem.
Yeah. And I agree with that. Like the shame of like.
Yeah.
Obviously, if we're talking work, let's just stick with the line of work. If I'm at work and I'm doing like a project and like it's shit, everyone's gonna think I'm an idiot because like I don't know how to do this project. But I feel like at least if it was like a new thing, like okay, if you're talking like you have a big project due at work, maybe I can see the anxiety because it's like you have expectations, people are expecting something from you. But like I feel like in the scenario of you're going to a new job, in my mind, it's like, well, I know it's a new job, so I know they don't expect me to have it like down like that, so therefore I'm not going to be worried because if I make a mistake, it's my first day.
For sure.
So I feel like
it's almost like expectations of yourself.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Like I should be able to pick it. Like what if I don't pick it up quick enough? What if I don't do it the way that they want me to? Like what if I'm not doing what I'm supposed to be doing? It's just all like you just kind of like tumble into just like what's going to go wrong. And like. It's like I said, it's a lot of what ifs.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I like to be comfortable. Like I said, I like to be comfortable. What I know, what I'm supposed to do, or what I know what's going to happen. Like obviously things are gonna be different every day or whatever. But I don't like to do things that are just way off. Like way I just don't expect.
So do you think? Okay, so think of like some of your favorite things, right, that you've done. Have those been like things that you do a lot that's comfortable, or have they been like things that maybe you did at one time and that's why it was one of your favorite things? You know what I'm asking?
Things that I've done like multiple times. Like
oh, really?
If I find something that I really like or something, I'm gonna do a lot. You know what I mean? You know what I'm saying? I don't know if I'm getting what you're saying, but
okay, let me try it again because I agree. Like obviously, if you like something, you're gonna keep doing it. But I mean, like for me, like if someone asks me like some fun stories or funny stories or crazy stories, most of those stories, at least for me, I can recall are like things where it's like I was in an uncomfortable situation because it only happened to me one time. But it's like those are the ones that like I laugh about and like I enjoy. So do you have any of those, or like do you like are your more favorite stories things that you've done several times?
Well, like what you just said about your story, your crazy stories, or whatever. That one thing that's happened to you that's been crazy that made you like uncomfortable. Like those things are funny to you now, or like they now if it's a story from a long time ago, it could be funny to me now. But like then when that happened, it like
Traumatic, maybe.
Almost like it's just like if it was super uncomfortable and something that's like crazy story that I got myself in some little embarrassing, like uncomfortable mess. I think about that constantly, like for like right after that, and it could be like the stupidest things, but I'll remind myself, well, you look like an idiot. Like,
yeah,
I'll tell you this literal, absolute stupid story. And
okay.
I don't even know why I'm saying this, but I just to show you like how kind of dumb it is sometimes, but we go camping every year, not just with you, at Oscar, but we go camping and we have to shower in the river, right? And so one of my older friends, we're showering and I'm doing my shampoo and I did my conditioner and I said, is there any conditioner in my hair? And she's like, well, you can't really see conditioner, so you just kind of have to go and like feel it out. You got to make sure. I was like, oh, okay. And I would be like, well, my dumbass should have known that. I literally thought about that every day. Yes, the stupidest thing ever, every day for like years, because I was like, well, I should have known that. Well, I should have asked for that. Like stupid things. I got embarrassed by that, which is literally the stupidest thing ever. Now I think it's freaking hilarious that I was so embarrassed about that. But like just stuff like that, like just even little things that people are like, well, like just to think that I'm dumb or something.
Yeah.
I just embarrassing to me. I think about that constantly every single day. Go over it. I'll go back all the time and be like, why couldn't I have done this, or why didn't I do this? Because that's just stupid. I just look like an idiot. I don't like to look like an idiot.
Yeah. No, I mean, I definitely know the moments you're talking about, because, I mean, it's. I guess I'm very grateful for the fact that I am not anxious in that way, because if that was the case, every single day I've said some shit that people have been like, what the hell? Because I'll say everything with very much conviction, but if somebody fact checks me on it and I'm wrong, I was like, okay, and it's just like, oh, well, you caught me. I'm wrong, but like, I mean, it happens to me all the time, so I definitely understand what you're saying, but it doesn't stick with me, which I guess I can be grateful for. But okay, for example, maybe not just funny experiences, but like if you're going on vacation to like a new place, that's a new place, and it's normally, I mean, I guess I can't assume for you, but like for me, if I've gone to a new place, okay, so for example, I went to Spain, and it was different too, because it's like people spoke a different language, but like it was exciting. So like that's one of my favorite things to talk about, because it was different and it was exciting. Do you still get anxiety like if you're like on a vacation, like at a new place?
I mean, if I was to go to like Spain or like a new country, that would be like,
yeah.
I mean, that would be a lot, just because it's like totally different. But if it's like vacations around,
like the U.S.
Yeah, I mean, I'll get anxiety of like specific things that I'm doing, but I also don't like if I was to go on a vacation, I'm probably not going to drive. Like I don't like to drive in places that I don't know.
Oh, true.
Super ridiculous sometimes, but like especially if it was like a long vacation, and I really just don't like to drive that much anyway, but I don't want to drive because I don't know what's going to happen. I don't know the area, so I don't want to drive around aimlessly, like really, and like fuck something up while I'm driving. You know what I mean? Like that freaks me out. I really cars in general. Like the accidents. I've never been in an accident really, so yeah, knock on wood. Yeah, but so that's I think what. That's messing up.
That's a big one. Like my mom hates driving in like downtown Detroit.
Yeah.
Or like Chicago. She won't do it.
Nope, I won't do it.
It's like it's the same laws apply.
I don't know. There's so many people and there's so many different roads and different things, and it's like I don't know where I'm going. I don't know what I'm doing. And sometimes I have to like stop and like look around and stuff, but you don't really have that time to do that at like a lot of places. You know what I mean? Like, you're driving, you can't just be, like, in the middle, just stop and be like, oh, where am I going?
I mean, you can, you're just going to get honked at.
Well, you could get in an accident doing that, too. If I just stopped and I was just, no, I'm not going to do that. And I don't want to I'm not going to get honked at.
Why?
Because I don't want that. I mean, if people honk at me just because they're just being an ass, like, then honk at me or whatever, but I don't want to be an inconvenience, I guess.
I feel like a lot of the stories you're saying about things that make you anxious is because you're putting so much pressure on yourself, right?
Yeah.
So why what's so for example with honking or a confrontation in general?
Yeah.
I mean, obviously I don't think any sane person tries to seek out confrontation, right? Like you don't want to be like the guy that always wants to fight people.
Right.
But and this is my girlfriend's the same way. She always says she hates confrontation. So here's a question for you. Would you rather have confrontation or let something, like if we had an issue, would you rather just let it sit and never talk about it, or would you rather confront me and not be rude about it, bring it up?
I would rather confront you, but it's because I know you.
Okay.
You know
so you don't like random confrontation?
Yeah.
Okay.
Like if there was, unless it was something obnoxious that needed to be addressed out in public, or something that somebody was doing something crazy or something that I would need to step in, then I would. But if somebody did something even with the cars, if someone's gotten road rage, I'm not gonna be like, oh, let's fight, obviously, but I know you and I know my friends, so if I have an issue with my friends, I know it's gonna affect our friendship if it's not talked about,
Yeah.
So yeah, I'll get nervous about talking to you about it, but I know that it's going to
needs to be done.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But if it's random, I don't need to confront you because I don't owe you shit.
Yeah. I think to a point I definitely agree, because you don't want to just be, if it's a minor inconvenience to me, I'm not going to just fucking bug some guy who I don't know. It's not a big deal.
Yeah.
But just one more thing to help me understand anxiety. So let's go back to going to a new place for work, right? So let's say you do go to work and you walk into part of the building that is not where you're supposed to report to. What's the worst that's going to happen?
Everything. In my mind.
Like what?
In my mind, it's I'll think of the stupidest things, like I said, something that's completely unrealistic that really wouldn't happen or whatever. I'm gonna walk into this new place and it's my first impression and my dumbass isn't even going where I'm supposed to be going. It's just being very hard on yourself, and just giving yourself the worst things, and it really could be something that wouldn't even happen. You know what I mean?
Because, well, correct me if I'm wrong, but I feel like the realistic thing of what would happen, right, is you walk in there, and if you're in the wrong spot, either eventually you're going to walk out and you're going to realize it, or someone's going to be like, hey, are you lost? Let me help you.
Yeah.
So would you say, one thing that might go through your head would be, I walk in there, and everyone's just like, oh, look at this bitch, she's crazy, she's lost, and, they're, talking shit, behind your back? Really? Man.
A lot of that. I don't like people looking at me and feeling embarrassed. I know people don't like to feel anxious and people don't like to feel embarrassed and people don't like, those are obviously normal feelings, but it's it's times 3 million. You know what I mean? It's affects my body before I go somewhere. Being anxious, my palms will be super sweaty and I get that feeling and I'm just I can't do this or whatever, and you just don't, you just get affected by just being oh, this isn't gonna be, what if I, oh, this is gonna be really nerve-wracking, but I know I can get through it. My mind, I think, well, I'm not going to, you know what I mean? It's just a lot of you just self-destruction almost, you know what I mean?
And I'm trying to understand but you said there's not anything that has caused you, because it sounds
not that I can recall.
It sounds like you don't like to be the center of attention, right?
No, for sure.
You like to kind of
certain things.
You don't want eyes on you.
Certain things, yes.
Okay, yeah. I think everyone some certain things,
sure,
right?
Yeah.
But you don't want extra eyes on you because it gives you expectations, right? On top of your own.
But I really don't like to be embarrassed. I really don't.
Yeah.
It's I get scared to look like an idiot. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. I'll give you this.
Let's hear it.
Talking about my things, but car washes.
Okay.
I will not go through a car wash, and I hate explaining it because I sound like such an idiot because the reason that I hate it is so dumb, but I just don't want to. But it's like, I'm not scared of a car wash, like the actual car wash. That doesn't, like, freak me out. But I don't want to drive up there and get up and you have to be, like, right on the money, you know.
You don't want to pull in and get it wrong.
And yeah, exactly. And then be like, come on over here. And I'm like, oh, like, messing up and then still being like, oh, hey, here you go. After I just totally messed up and totally look like an idiot. And, like, because I just want to avoid going through that, and being embarrassed and looking, like, dumb. Like, it's just not something I like at all.
Okay.
So I'll just not do it.
See, you think that was a dumb story, but that actually kind of makes it more understandable for me.
Okay.
Because I think, let me ask you this. Has your anxiety been something that you've noticed get better or worse during certain times of your life or different ages? Like, as you've grown older, has it gotten worse or better?
Yeah, probably worse as I got older, but maybe also because I've, like, acknowledged it, But I also, like, when I was younger, like, I really didn't have to do a lot for myself. Like, my parents pretty much did all those things for me, like appointment making and, like, taking me places and doing everything. I didn't really ever put myself in a spot where I had to really do a lot for myself.
So now you're doing those things
and it's just, like, not something that because I don't know, you know what I mean?
Yeah. No, I get that. I mean, because hearing your story about the car wash kind of made me remember, because, okay, so I'll give you a funny story, because I can laugh about it now, although I was super embarrassed before. And I'll say, for me, this type of story, now I don't give a shit if someone makes fun of me for it, because it's whatever. But during this time, it, like, okay, I'll just tell you the story, and then we'll explain it. So, it was freshman year, right? I was in choir, and I hadn't gone through puberty yet. And so in and of itself, being a freshman guy, not having gone through puberty, you're already going to be kind of insecure.
Right.
Okay? So I was in choir. I had one hell of a good voice, but it was high. It was so I think for guys, if I remember correctly, there's tenors and there's bass. Normally I'd be a tenor, but I could also sing soprano and alto, which is women's. So we had to do singing. And sometimes I'd have those parts, and if I was with the group, it wouldn't really bother me. But then at the end of semester, we had to do a solo, and so I did a tenor part, but I couldn't hit the deep notes because I just couldn't. Yeah. Because my balls were up here, and I got up there and I froze because you had to do it by yourself in front of the whole class. That's a no. And I'm a little guy, right? I was a little guy. So I'm up there, and I just froze and started crying. So then I'm that guy who's not only a fucking tiny little freshman, but now he's crying in high school because he didn't want to sing. Yeah. That was humiliating so fucking bad, and I'm like, dude, I never will sing again. Yeah. Quit choir. Point being, now it's like, I'll go up and I'll do fucking karaoke at the bar, and I'll sound like shit because I lost my high voice. I can't sing anymore. Yeah. But I get what you're saying, because you don't want to have the feeling of, oh, this is humiliating. Yeah. But I think for me, maybe it's...
How long did you hold on to that embarrassment?
I mean, I quit choir for the rest of the year, and I haven't... just 2 years ago, I started making music, if you can even call it that. It's not very good. But, like, I'm not embarrassed to sing anymore. Okay. But it took me a while to not be embarrassed to sing. So, Did you, like, go back and think about that, like, constantly? Yes. Yes. I definitely was like, I'm not gonna sing in person anymore because that was so fucking embarrassing. And, like, no one bullied me about it. No. Like, everyone was.
It was your own.
I was just like, dude, I can't believe I fucking cried at high school. Like, what the fuck? But not like, so I can empathize. Like, you don't want to feel the humiliation. So I guess maybe I do understand anxiety, but it's certain things that might make you anxious. Is like no problem for me. But then maybe there's something that makes me anxious. That's you're like, not.
And like I said, I'm not diagnosed with anything.
Yeah.
I've never been to, like, a therapist, which I would love to go, but I have not. So, like, mine may be, like, not even that bad or whatever, but, like, it stops me from doing things that I should be doing because I just don't want to deal with it. Like, that sounds terrible, but I just get so anxious that I just don't want to. And I know some people, like, go through, like, way worse anxiety than, like, maybe something that I have that people have, like, and I know, like, anxiety attacks and panic attacks, and I've had mild ones, but I know there's other people that go through like really, really bad ones, so I can't really speak for them, but and I'm sure like things are way different, with that, but it's a lot of just a lot of like what ifs.
Yeah.
That's just I spiral through that,
Yeah.
Yeah, just like something's gonna happen and I'm gonna mess up or something's gonna go wrong and
that's gotta be stressful.
Yeah, it is.
But
I try to work, like especially when like driving, like or like when it's super snowy or whatever. It's like, I mean, I drive through it or whatever, but if the roads seem bad or whatever, but I know that sometimes people that are getting really anxious can go off and do something else to like calm them down or whatever. But if you're driving, you can't just like walk off and then go do something. But like if it's super snowy and I'm worried about it, like I know that I just have to like calm myself down. Like it's not just me just being like super freaking out, but if I just take some breaths and just like show myself it's not that bad, like it'll be fine, it'll be okay. Like I have to tell myself that because I'll just keep going in things that it's like something's gonna happen, So,
yeah. I think from the little I do know about anxiety and just what I've researched, maybe I've found wrong material, but the little I researched, it sounds like anxiety can be sometimes like it's like a chemical like imbalance or whatever, but sometimes it is just like as in some situations it might be as simple as just like either taking a breath or telling yourself in your head it's different.
Right.
And I'll point to a TED Talk I was watching. I fucking forgot the name of it, but they were doing a test, and basically they had like just 3 different groups, right? Control groups, or 1 control group, 2 different outliers, and they all had the same thing. They had to come in, and they weren't told about it beforehand, but right when they got in the classroom, they said, "You guys have to sing like Amazing Grace or some song." And you don't have any lyrics, you don't have anything, you just had to sing it. And the group that was told that, they scored like 50% accuracy and like tone of voice. Or I don't know how they were grading it, but something like that. The people who came in and then they were told all of the same thing, but then they decided before you sing, you have to say, "I'm nervous." They scored like 30%. But then the last group that came in told them the same thing, and they said before you start, say, "I'm excited." And they scored like 70%. So it's like, could something as simple as just telling yourself, "I'm excited about this" instead of nervous fix it? Maybe. Or maybe that's me not knowing shit about anxiety and thinking that could fix it.
I mean, in certain circumstances, I'm sure. Like, it is a lot of, like, in your mind. You know what I mean? So, I'm sure in certain things you can just be like, well, it'll be fine. We can, it'll go fine and stuff like that. But then, like, it's also almost like a battle in your own head, you know what I mean, of just being like, well, it'll be fine, but then it just goes back to be like, well, this is gonna happen, or like that could happen. Well, just let's just take a deep breath and it'll be fine. But then, I can tell myself all that all day long, and then walk in and also just be like, oh my gosh, Do
you have like a friend, or does it help to have like a friend, like if I'm going to a new place, like, oh my god, where am I going? Like just fucking vent it out.
Yeah. Well, and having somebody else there with me can just like kind of take that and just like, you'd go do that, you know what I mean? Like kind of make them be like that person, not kind of follow, like I'm just not really like a leader. Like I kind of would rather somebody else lead me and then I'll just kind of follow. Okay. Great. But like I'd much rather go with somebody because then I have somebody that I'm comfortable with and that I can lean on.
Yeah, I mean that makes sense.
But yeah, I'm all about being comfortable, and that's why like doing new things is so anxious, because I'm in my like bubble of doing the same things, or like going to places that I'm familiar with or whatever. Yeah. Like I'm totally fine doing those things because I know what's going to happen and I know mostly about what's going to go on. But then like a new place is just like a lot for me.
Because it's the unknown. I get that.
Exactly.
I mean, with that being said, I'm glad you came.
Yeah, I know. This is totally not something I would do.
Yeah, well, that's what you said. Yeah, looked a little bit visibly anxious.
I always am. Yeah. But, like I said, there's no reason for me to be nervous about this.
Yeah.
But it's just I've never done a podcast before. Yeah. And just the thought of, like, other people listening to what I'm saying and, like, judging me, or like what I'm saying could be wrong, or you know what I mean, that's just uncomfortable for me. So it's just so weird, and just I've never done something like that before, so it's just like a first thing. It's just like a ooh for me. I
mean, I know a handful of people off the top of my head that would agree with what you're saying, and also you can't say anything wrong if it's your opinion. So
For sure.
But I mean, I get the concern.
Yeah.
But I'm glad you came out of your comfort zone and it came.
Yeah.
I know another thing you kind of wanted to touch on, and we kind of briefly talked about it, was kind of dealing with loss and grief. And because I know you said on Megan's episode, you related to kind of what I was saying about what made me depressed, what kind of caused me down that line. I'm guessing you're talking about like the story of what made me depressed, like what set it off. Okay, so you can relate to that.
Yeah, for sure. But yeah, I feel like usually when you hear depression or anxiety, usually they come together. You know, usually most people have both anxiety and depression.
You think so?
Yeah, a lot of times. But I feel like because they're kind of similar, like because when you were depressed and stuff, you like made yourself feel like the worst you've ever felt. Like you went through like a spiral, all that, you know, like even when you said you were on the verge of like thinking about suicide, your mind spiraled, you know what I mean? And you just thought the worst things, and you were like, well, you could be like, oh, well, I'm shit, or I'm not worth it, or, you know, I'm worthy, I bother people with my stuff, I don't want to bother anybody with my stuff, and I don't want to be that uncomfortable person for other people, or I'm not good enough to be here, or, you know, like you just... Yeah. Your mind tricks you into thinking a certain way. And somebody that doesn't have depression could be like, well, why would you think that way about yourself?
Or, for sure.
Why would you think that?
For sure.
I mean, there's no reason. You know, everybody loves you. I mean, there's so many people that love you. Why would you think that nobody wants to deal with you or no one wants you? Because your mind, like, tricks you. And, like, you just go into that cycle of yourself in your own mind that you just think the worst of yourself or think of the worst of situations.
Yeah.
And, you know what I mean? So I feel like they kind of go hand in hand because your mind is just, like, tricking you to think, like, pushing you to think the worst, you know?
I agree, definitely my mind was tricking me to think the worst, for sure. But, I mean, it sounds like anxious is like, anxiety would be like, I don't want to do something because I'm afraid of what's going to happen. For me, when I was in, like, my depressive stage, I didn't give a shit what happened. Yeah. So, like, I didn't know that anxiety was there because I really just didn't give a shit. Because in my head, at that time, everything that I cared about, so maybe I had anxiety leading up to it. Yeah. Because I was like, oh, all these different things are going to fucking crash. And then when they crashed, well, if I have nothing else to lose, I'm not anxious about anything.
I mean, and not everybody has anxiety that has depression. That's not what I'm saying. You know? But, I mean, I'm with, like, oh, God, I forgot what I was going to say.
You're good. You're good. So, I mean, I will agree with you. I think... Because, for example, I didn't think that I had anxiety and depression coexisting, but I think I had anxiety building up until it got to the point where, well, all the things I was anxious about are gone, so now it's moved into depression. Yeah,
but, like, an anxiety, like, if I'm having, like, I'm super anxious about something, or I'm really embarrassed about, or something happens, and I was so embarrassed about it, and I constantly go back and think about it, and go back and think about it, and then, like, my depression will come in and be like, yeah, you're right, you're, like, a piece of crap, like, why would you ever do something like that, like, you look like an idiot, you know, like, they'll just, like, go into, like, all the things that's bad about myself, like, I tell myself all the bad things about myself, you know what I mean, and so, like, something will happen, and I'll be super anxious, and then something bad will happen, and then it all just kind of goes together to see, I told you that was going to happen, or something bad was going to happen. Yeah. You look like an idiot, you know, like, why would, like, that happened, and now you look real dumb, like, how are you going to come back from that, you know? Yeah. That type of thing.
I think that's, from my understanding, that sounds more like shame and anxiety coexisting. For sure. Like, depression, for me, was, like, nothing mattered. Yeah. But once I started kind of, like, I don't want to say getting out of the depression state, but getting out of the suicidal state of like, okay, I want to fix this. Yeah. Then I had to face all the things that were making me feel upset, and that's where the shame started pouring in, because I'm like, how did this fucking happen? Like, now I'm this guy. Like, that's so shameful. I don't want to be this guy. So I would say, for me at least, anxiety and shame, I think it kind of went in like some type of succession. You had anxiety that led to depression, that led to shame afterwards. Yeah, right. But I mean, yeah, I don't know. Maybe for some people it might all coexist. Yeah. For me, I think, from what I remember, it was more of a succession. Okay. But, I mean, they're all terrible things.
Yeah, oh yeah.
They're all terrible things.
And you can have, like, an anxiety attack about other things, and then you can be in a depressive episode or whatever, and going into like a spiral of just being like, well, why would I care about anything? I don't give a crap about myself. I don't give a crap about what's going on. I don't have anything going for me, so why does it matter? Why do I not just leave? I don't want to be a burden on anyone. I don't want to tell anyone about it, because what's the point? Like,
I lost.
What's the point of being, like, a lot of it is just like, what's the point? So they're not the same. Anxiety and depression isn't the same, but I feel like they just kind of like a lot of times go together, because they almost just like one goes into the other.
Oh yeah, they feed into each other for sure. I will say, trying to recognize when somebody else is depressed is hard as fuck.
Oh yeah.
Which is weird, because like you'd think that all depressive people have the same characteristics, and maybe they do, but man, I mean, they're hard to spot, because
when you're depressed, like a lot of the times you show other people, you don't want to show that, because you don't want to show.
Yeah, you want to keep it to yourself.
You don't want to be a burden. You don't want to show these bad parts of yourself. So you are happy to other people. You are like, outgoing, and you're like, wait. And that's why a lot of times people don't realize that people were depressed, because they were so happy, or they were so outgoing, they were so fun and stuff like that, because they just want to show you the best part of yourself.
That's the most difficult thing for me, is the fact that oftentimes the people who have it the worst are the ones you don't know, and when you know, it's too late.
Yeah.
Because, for example, the person I lost, the one thing I'll say, because I'm not going to give too much details about something that's personal to other people. It's not my place to tell it, but the one thing I'll say is about the person I lost is, the common saying, you remember how somebody made you feel, not what they said. I personally believe that nobody in this entire world would say that this person made him feel anything other than good. Like, he was the type of person who, anything he did, he'd make somebody feel good. Whether it was something he said, something he did, the way he acted to them, or just how he existed, everything about that person made people feel good. So it's like, it's so tough, because it's like, dude, if everything you did made everybody else feel better, why didn't it make you feel better? So
a lot of it is like helping. You would rather help other people, you know what I mean? Like, you want to make sure everybody else is happy, or everybody else is doing good, and you don't care about yourself, because you just, I guess I can't.
It's not a priority.
Yeah. And like, all those people you care about, so you want to make sure that they're like 100% and all the time good, but you don't really have the same view of yourself. You know what I mean? You're like, well, I'm whatever, but all these other people need to be way better than how I am. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I will say another thing that I've just speculated is, like, this person in particular gave so much love to everybody that the amount of love he gave to everybody else, did all those people give it back? Because, okay, so I'll relate this to myself. I feel like, and maybe people have a different feeling of how I treat them, but I feel like the people who I love the most, I put in a lot of effort. And I'd say for the most part, I get it returned. But if it wasn't returned, I think that would do a number on me. So, and in the time where I was in that area, it kind of did feel like that.
Yeah.
So I think maybe that is maybe what
you, like,
drives somebody to do that.
Trick yourself.
Yeah.
Thinking that nobody really actually, like, well, I know they love me, but they don't really love me in the way that I need to be loved. Or whatever, or like, they don't love who I really am, or whatever, that type of thing. And like, you can know somebody is like depressed, or like showing, like, you can, knowing that somebody's going through something, but you can only do so much, and that's the hard thing. And like, and reaching out too is like a thing, because it's like, you reach out, hey, if you need anything, let me know. You're like, okay, great, thank you so much, but we're not going to actually reach out and let you know, because we don't want to be the burden. We don't want to, and I know it was so hard for you to reach out to your brothers, but like, some people never reach out. You know what I mean? Because they just feel like well, I'm not going to put all of my stuff on somebody else, you know?
Yeah.
And they don't need to be there for me in that way because it's just wrong.
That's the most heartbreaking thing about it, though.
Yeah.
Because I don't want to, make the statement of everyone could lean on somebody, because although in an ideal world that would be the case, there might be some people who come from a background where they don't really have anybody to lean on. But the people that do, it's just heartbreaking.
Yeah.
Because, well, for obvious reasons. They don't lean out. They don't lean on anybody, and then what happens?
Right.
Because you've lost people, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I've lost a friend from like childhood. I grew up just kind of like you, but my dads were best friends in high school and stuff, so we grew up together. So she did commit suicide in 2014 in September, and then it was probably about a year and a half ago, in August 2019, I lost another one of our best friends from like my friend group it was my fiance Mike's best friend, and so we all kind of had like a group thing, and we lost him. But it's like you always wish you could do more. You always wish you could have helped them and you could have changed their mind or changed it or whatever. But it's like also at the same time you can't make somebody get help if they don't want it. You know what I mean? It's just kind of like using drugs and stuff. It's hard to get somebody, you can't just force them to go get sober because they have to want that, you know what I mean? And so sometimes you can reach out and you can show that you are there for them and stuff, but they have to want to reach out to anyone to get their own help, you know what I mean? And so you can't like save everyone, obviously, but it's hard to be like close to them and then see them go through that and then decide that they weren't worth it to stay here, you know what I mean?
Yeah, that's one hard aspect of it, and then seeing the shit show that's left afterwards, like
effects
on people.
Yeah.
And also on yourself, like realizing, and that's another thing that I think is shitty, is you don't realize how important, at least for me, how important somebody is until they're gone, which I know is a cliche thing to say, but I mean, it's the fucking truth. And so, that's one of the things I've been trying to do more is like, this might sound really fucking morbid, but like it's helped me put in perspective how much different people mean to me, is like, I'll think, how would I feel if they died? Yeah. Which sounds fucked up, but it helps me like remember like, well, I should probably treat them that way. Yeah. Also, how would somebody feel if I died? Right. If they'd be sad, then I mean a lot to them. If I don't think they'd care, then maybe I shouldn't. Yeah. Like,
but I also don't think that you realize that even if you've come in contact with somebody for a little bit, you've had some sort of impact on them. You know what I mean? And that's things you don't realize.
I know. So I can try to think of it, but you will never know until...
You don't think so. Yeah. And it could be all people that just come up with stories just because they want the attention.
That's a
big one for sure. Yeah, I like when Rachel, the family friend, when she passed, somebody on Twitter had used it and was like, one like or one retweet, sends a prayer to the family. It's like, what? Like, why would you? Because they were just trying to get some retweets and some likes on their Twitter, but that had nothing to do. I don't even think they knew her. You know what I mean? Like, it's just.
I do. And it was infuriating.
Yeah, it is. But you also can't let yourself get in that hole.
No. Know what I mean? And I think a lot of it is your emotions. Because, I mean, who are you to tell you, who are you to say, oh, you didn't matter to this person? Exactly. Because maybe they did have some type of connection that you just didn't know of.
Right.
But, you feel like, well, I should be hurt more than you because I was closer with them. So, you almost invalidate somebody else's feelings. And, I mean, I think there definitely are people who might glorify their feelings for somebody who was lost because for some sick reason. Right. But I feel like the people who are closest to that person definitely feel like, I mean, I don't know. It's so weird.
I don't know how you feel.
No.
But I also did a lot of, especially with my friend that recently passed, because I'm so close to their family. I'm really close to, his mom and his brother and stuff. And I would always be like, I would try not to like insert my feelings and myself into that, because I know I don't know how they feel. I don't know how a mother feels losing her son, and I don't know how a brother, a sibling feels losing their sibling, because
I couldn't
haven't
imagine.
ever had to deal with it. So I almost like didn't let myself show my feelings or how sad I was, because I didn't want to be like, well, my feelings are worse than yours, because I know they're not. They're not even near it,
Yeah.
So I always felt bad trying to show it to them, because I didn't want to be like that. But I also had to realize that, like, yeah,
you also have feelings, yeah.
And it was my good friend, and so I have to.
You have to validate your own feelings.
Absolutely.
I get that 100% too, and I will say I did the same thing of okay, I can't be like sad right now. I mean, I can be sad, but not
as sad as that.
That's not the priority, right? But then it all hit me like maybe 2 months after, where it's like, well, fuck, now I got to be the one that's sad for myself.
Yeah.
And then it's just weird because now you're going through it separately.
Yeah.
So it's trying to validate your feelings, or like compare them to what somebody else might be feeling, is a dangerous game. Yeah. And like you shouldn't compare feelings, but also at the same time, like again, you didn't lose a brother.
Right.
So it's like, it's fucking weird. It's a weird situation that honestly is the most uncomfortable thing in my entire life. If there's one situation I could ever not be a part of, it'd be that whole thing, because it was fucking.
And is.
It is, yeah, it is. It has everlasting effects that like you realize every once in a while something will like spark, and you're just like, oh fuck, it's gonna be a shitty day.
Yeah.
Just because it comes back.
Yeah, because at first it was all you were thinking, all
consumed your thoughts,
around, right?
Yeah.
So it was every time was bad, but now it's like, it's not that you don't feel sad, it's just things have been moving on in your life, so then you don't really are as affected every single second of your life like you were. But when those come, they, those feelings, they come, you know what I mean? Like when you're just like, when you think about it, a certain situation, a certain something, it's just like, holy crap, you know what I mean?
Oh, I know what you mean. For me, it's when I see videos. And that's the weird thing too, is like when you see like a picture, for me, it doesn't like do as much, because it's like, it's obviously,
it's sentimental, but
but for me, when you see like, and this is just anybody who committed suicide, this is anybody who's dead, when you see videos, you're seeing life, like you're seeing that they're moving, you're seeing that they're interacting,
and you hear their voice that you
haven't. Oh my god, that's the shit that fucking like drive a knife through my fucking heart, because that's
like,
hard.
I used to listen to that all the time. You never thought that it was gonna go away.
Well, that's why I love and hate like Snapchat memories, or like Facebook memories, whatever. You go back and it's like, oh, look at how fun this was. But like I also didn't want to see that right now, because I don't feel like being it's God.
And it's a hard thing to go through in general, because it it's gonna affect you for the rest of your life, And that's like the crazy thing. Like, it's been what, six years since Rachel, and it feels like it was yesterday, And it's just, it was so long ago, so it feels like it was a super long time, but it also feels like yesterday. But you still see the effects of it today, and everyone that was, her family, and like everything. The day that it happened, or her birthday, or those things are never going to be the same, and it's just like forever it's going to affect, and it's just crazy to see. That.
Things that were in place when that happened will never be the same.
No, and the thing about like depression, is because like some people can like get themselves out of it or whatever, and like turn it around. But if you're still living with it, and somebody that has committed suicide, through depression and stuff, but then you still feel like you still started to feel like suicidal thoughts, even after you just saw somebody and the effects that it has, but you don't think about that or the effects that it had when you're in that, because it's like you're in this little like I like to say, spiral or whatever. You're in like your own little destructive mind, and so it's like, you saw that, but then you if you have depression, then you
put blinders on.
And you're just like, well, I would, no one would be affected about me really like that or whatever. You don't really think about that or how other people are affected. You're just And a lot of people say that depression is pretty selfish, and like suicide is selfish.
Yeah.
And a lot of people say that, but it's like not like
it's like they want to do it. Yeah,
like
they don't want to
yeah.
do it.
We're not trying. That's the thing. You're in that, and you don't think that you're gonna affect other people, and you think that everything's gonna be better if you're not here. You know what I mean? Because it's just like your mind is.
Mm-hmm. Your mind can do some fucking shitty things,
mm-hmm.
and I understand when people say it's selfish because yes, the act of it is selfish, but at the same time, I fucking hate when people say that because it's like, dude, until you're in that position, which I hope you never are in that position.
Mm-hmm. Have some respect.
Have some fucking respect. But I mean, like you said, I think when you get in like a really bad depressive stage to borderline suicidal, you might, knowing, like, for example, for me, I was fortunate enough because seeing how the effects of what happened is what stopped me.
Yeah.
But because if it wasn't that, then I never would have known the gravity of what was going to be done. Yeah. So that's like the one thing I'm fortunate of is that saved me. But at the same time, I don't like saying that either because it's like I would rather have not had that happen at all. Yeah. But to take it back to a more positive light, what did you do to kind of help you move past that? Because it was a hard road for me, so I'm just curious because you did it twice.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think that I have moved past anything with my friend. That's been about. I mean, it's really a year and a half. I mean, it sounds like a long time, but it hasn't. I don't think that I'm still there yet. I actually would say that I'm probably still in denial of it because it just still doesn't feel real. And kind of same for my other friend. Rachel, just because I didn't see her. I only saw her once a year pretty much, maybe twice a year, kind of like you. So I still, like, never saw her constantly. So, but when she passed, I put a lot of my energy into her sister, which is my best friend. She's actually my maid of honor now. And I just wanted to make sure that she was in a good, not that she's going to be in a good spot, but that she was okay and that she was getting the support and that she was getting the help that she needed. She had a friend there for her. So I put a lot of my energy and my thoughts into that. But I mean, I don't really know if there was like because I don't want to say like it was like a moving on, because I don't like that.
Not moving on, but like you're able to function daily, right?
For sure.
I think you already kind of said it, is you're leaning on people.
Yeah.
You were giving her support, but in the same way, you're also supporting yourself by doing that.
Her, yeah.
And I would think
that's kind of what we did, like, with our friends, because we have a big group of friends. So we all would hang out together, and it was, since I've known him I knew him for about 5 years. So we all were like this tight-knit group. So after he passed, we all just leaned on each other like really, really hard. And we were all just trying to be together and be there for each other. And so we kind of grieved like together, so I think that helped a lot. And that did a lot, just having like the group of people that like knew him, that we could grieve kind of in the same way, like, because other people can be there for you, but if they don't know exactly how you're going through with that specific person, it's kind of harder, but like to have people that are feeling the same way or similar and lost the same person, you kind of, like lean on each other, like you said. But
yeah,
I don't know, I mean, every day is still really hard,
and
it's, I mean, I just know that there's nothing that I can do to bring him back, and there's nothing I can do to bring her back, and I mean, like, and that it's so crappy to think that life does just go on, because I hate that. I hate the thought of just like life just goes on without them, because it's just not the same, and it's never going to be the same. And my life is different, because we've been around and done so much together. So it's just like crazy that they're not here, But I mean, we all just kind of stick together. That's why I try to, as much as we can. Things change and stuff, but...
No, I mean, I get that.
Yeah.
I understand that. I mean, I leaned on people too, but unfortunately, the people who were maybe in the same group for me, I kind of got separated from
that would be really hard.
that. But, I mean, I definitely had good friends who still knew him and were friends with him, obviously. But, yeah, I definitely agree with you. I had to lean on people pretty fucking hard. So, maybe in a different way than you did, but both of us kind of sound like we did similar things, leaning on people and building support, because I think you kind of have to.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's good to know. But, as you said, you don't move past it.
I have to do the things that I have to do. I still have to go to work. I still have to live my life.
With enjoyment. Try to find things you enjoy. It's not like...
Sure. And I try to look back and think about the good things and the happy, and that's what I do a lot. It's just all the fun times and the good times, and try not to dwell on the bad times, or like try not to let myself feel guilty, because I know I felt really guilty about stupid things. Because if you have arguments or like you don't agree with something or whatever, and you could have done something or you could have done that, but you couldn't prevent it. There's nothing you could have done. So the only thing you can really do is just to focus on the good, but that's a pretty hard thing. It's more easier said than done.
No shit, dude.
Yeah.
No shit.
But I still feel like I'm still going through all of that still. Because it still feels so fresh to me. It really just feels like yesterday. And so.
Yeah, I mean, I get that. It's been quite about a time.
Yeah.
For me, but
it just
doesn't
change.
feel like it's been that amount of time.
No.
So.
Yeah.
I get that.
Yeah.
To end on a positive note, because I don't want to just get too dark.
That was all like that.
No.
Yeah.
Because I can relate.
Yeah.
But one thing I like to always ask, I'm sure you know, mental health tip. So do you have one? I'm curious to hear.
Yeah, I'm still definitely working on that for sure. But I do love like nature and adventures and stuff like that. So I don't have like a spot yet, but to find like a spot that you can go to, like maybe on like the water or down like a trail or something with like a really cool, like soothing view, like where you can be by yourself, like after you had like an argument with somebody or you just had a day or something, that you could just go there and just kind of like feel the fresh air and just kind of like let the nature just realize where you are, or just be able to just like either think about what you need to think or just let those thoughts go. I need to find like a specific spot that I want to go to, but I feel like nature is very calming when it can be.
Oh yeah.
So just finding like a spot in nature. I also really like puzzles, so I put a lot of I do like 1,000-piece puzzles, and I just like love them. I feel like I just put all of my thoughts away just doing this, and I'm just like, I'm gonna get it right, So I do that type of stuff, but other than that, that's really all.
Well, those are both good. I'm not a big puzzle guy, but I mean they're fun. But finding a spot is tough to do, but once you find it, that's good. Because I had one like at the childhood home growing up. I knew where my spot was.
Exactly.
Haven't gotten one since I moved out, but I'll find one because it is nice to have a space where you can just go exist and be away from everything else.
Just go there and just take a deep breath and just look at the beauty of what it offers, what nature offers. Just going the sunset. Oh, I love sunsets.
Michigan's got a lot of good spots, believe it or not. So I mean,
Now when I go on an argument, I'm not going to go drive 3 hours just to go look at the water, but
no.
Those are a weekend of that.
Trails.
Yes.
You find a lot of good stuff in the trails. At least that's where I was.
That's where I go.
I gotta find a new spot when I move.
Yeah.
Anyway, thank you for coming on, Tabi.
Thanks for having me.
It's a pleasure. If you're listening to this and you want to be a guest on the show, please hit me up at TIMM Podcast on Instagram or at timmpod@gmail.com. Anyway, until next week, thank you.